Well, good afternoon, Year 5. Here we are again, another humanities lesson. But before we get started, let's do the most important thing, which is our shout outs for all the good work that you've been sending in this week. So I would like to say a massive shout out to Raisa, Anastasia, Anishant, Dua, Sana, Nora, Kauthar, Patrick, Maura, Grace, Munir, Maria, Zubair, Race, Haida, and Eric. Well done to all of those children. Your work is absolutely fantastic. So well done. Well done. So before we get started, let's just check our equipment again. Have you got your book? Have you got your pen? And have you got some colouring pencils, which you may need later on? Well done. Today is Monday, the 6th of July, 2020, and your learning intention is to describe the industry of the Midwest region. So your success criteria will be that by the end of this lesson, you will be able to talk about which industries are in the Midwest, what they are and what they do. So just pause the video while you write down the date and the learning intention. Well done. So we're going to the Midwest on our journey through America. So we've left New Orleans and we're following the Mississippi River north. So hundreds of miles later, we reach another large city, St. Louis, in the state of Missouri. Missouri is in the area that Americans call the Midwest. Also part of the region are the states to the north and east, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. Rivers and lakes are major features of this region. So you can have a look at the maps there. You can see the states and the rivers. So you can see the Missouri River, Arkansas River, if you look closely. So we're going to stop at St. Louis. There you can take a ride on the river in a large wooden boat with smokestacks. Smokestacks are, if you look at the top picture, they're like big chimneys. The boat was built to look just like a paddle wheeler, one of the boats that used to travel up and down the Mississippi in the 1800s. So in the little picture there, you can see it looks like it's got a little bit of a wheel on it. So the most interesting thing to see from the paddle wheeler is a huge shiny arch of steel standing on the riverbank. This is called the Gateway Arch. It is the tallest monument in the United States, even taller than the Washington Monument. The Midwest area has always been very important for agriculture. In Iowa and Illinois, many farms grow crops, such as corn and soybeans. The cornfields were an especially impressive sight, with their thousands of tall green stalks laid out in neat rows. A lot of the corn grown is actually not used as food for people. More than half of it is used to feed animals that are raised for their meat or to produce a number of products. Midwestern farmers raise animals for other things too. North of Iowa and Illinois is the state of Wisconsin, which is called America's Dairyland. It seems as if everywhere you go in Wisconsin, you see cows. These dairy cows are raised for their milk, which is a popular drink in America. The milk is also turned into other foods, such as cheese and butter. So we've got a little bit of vocab for you here. So agriculture is a noun and it is the growing of crops and raising of livestock for food and other purposes. And dairy, an adjective, is relating to milk or milk products. And commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services. So it's good to know what these words mean. But do not think that the Midwest is all cornfields and dairy farms. It also has a number of big cities that are centers of commerce and industry. The states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Iowa are known for manufacturing all kinds of goods, including cars. Iowa is leading the way with a new kind of alternative energy, wind power. In fact, Iowa gets more than 30% of its energy from wind. So I think I just mentioned the vocab in the last slide. So commerce again is the buying and selling of goods and services. In the northern part of this region, there are huge bodies of water called the Great Lakes. There are 5 of these lakes: Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. Rivers connect the lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. This makes it possible for Midwestern goods to be shipped all over the world. But the most amazing thing about the Great Lakes is their size. They're not kidding when they called them great. They're more like seas than lakes. And if you measure Lake Superior on the map, you can see that it is more than 350 miles long. It is also the largest freshwater lake on Earth. So if you look on the map there, you can see how big these lakes are. We're off to the Windy City now. Chicago, Illinois is located on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. It is the largest city in the Midwest. Chicago is a center of transportation where railways from both sides of the United States come together. It is also a major port city. Chicago is the 3rd most populated city in the United States. Los Angeles in California is number 2, and New York, as I said before, is number 1. Chicago reminds me of New York. It is big, crowded, full of skyscrapers. In fact, the first skyscrapers in America were built in Chicago back in the late 1800s. So we're taking a walk along the shore of Lake Michigan now. The wind whips up from the water all around you, making you feel chilly even though the sun is shining. Chicago is called the Windy City. So let's find out how the city got its nickname. Long ago, a newspaper writer from New York called Chicago the Windy City. He did so because he believed the people there were always boasting about how great their city was. You see, when Americans think someone talks too much or brags, they say that this person is a windbag or full of hot air. Chicagoans are very proud of their sports teams. In America, the big cities compete with each other in sports. There are 3 main sports in America: baseball, basketball, and football. In Chicago, there is a stadium called Wrigley Field where you can watch a baseball game and enjoy eating hot dogs, drinking sodas, and yelling along with the crowd. So there you go, some pictures of Wrigley Field. After leaving Chicago, you can fly over the northern parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. This land is covered with forests. Not as many people live in this area. An animal called a wolf, a kind of wild dog, used to live in many parts of the United States and has, over the years, been killed by hunters. And now, northern Minnesota is one of the very few places where wolves still live. If you look closely into the forest, you might also see some moose and bears. So that's our journey for this week. And next week, we are on our way to the next region, which is the Great Plains. I can't wait for that. So your task for this week is write about all the industries you've learned about in this video. You may want to answer some of these questions. What industries are important in the Midwest? What crops do you find in the Midwest region? Why is Chicago an important city? And why is the Mississippi River important? If you like a challenge, give me a short answer to this question. How is life different in rural parts of the Midwest compared to busy cities? And also, Grace and Mania, I would like you to do me a poster about everything that you've learned in this video so that I can put it in my shout outs next week. Okay, so when you finish all that, send your work to Mrs. Hubbard at year5@grange.harrow.school.uk. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the Midwest today. I know I have, and I can't wait to visit the Great Plains next week. So bye for now and have fun with your work.